Okay, I'm sorry. I was joining wrong channels one after another. First I joined the lab channel and then another sub channels. Anyway, so it is general now. I hope you are able to hear it. So let's start the discussion. The discussion was about a converter which is called a forward converter and which is a buck derived converter. That means inherently it is a buck converter, but buck converter with isolation. It is like this: one extra magnetic circuit which is a transformer. This is the magnetic circuit's primary. The transformer's primary has to be there. So, and this transformer we have understood in the last class has to have a volt second balance of its own. Apart from the volt second balance of the inductor, that is the buck converted inverter, this should also have a volt second balance of its own. So let's draw it. This diode is required because this diode is D1. D1 is required. It's a rectifier diode because it will be required only when the voltage is positive. That time the positive voltage will come across the come to this terminal of the inductor. So to bring it from the primary side with a coupling, we require this diode, but other time we don't require it. That's why this diode will be blocking. This diode, let us call it the conventional diode D. I am naming it as D. So that is the freewheeling diode of the buck converter. And you already know the inductor position of the buck converter and the capacitor position of the buck converter and the load R. So this is the conventional. So as far as the buck converter inductor is concerned, this should have been okay, but it is not okay for the transformer that you have brought in. So transformer has to see some negative voltage, because unless it sees a negative voltage, it cannot have a volt second balance. So the negative voltage is provided in this case in a simpler manner by using a Zener. Zener is a component which breaks down, and when it breaks down, when the current goes through it, it breaks down, and when it breaks down, this terminal will be positive and this terminal will be negative, and this voltage can be called to be can be identified as or designated as VZ, Vzener. You must see that we have, along with the Zener, we have put a diode DZ also. This is also required because this Zener is supposed to conduct not all the time, but only during the off period. This Zener's thing will be coming in the off period of the main switch Q. On period it should not interfere, because on period when the switch is on, the voltage across this will be plus minus, this will be plus minus, and the diode will be conducting, and at that time Zener has no role. Zener should not do anything. So to block the Zener from doing anything, because you see that other way the Zener, this is anode, this terminal is anode and this terminal is cathode. So if you do not put this diode, the Zener will conduct and will interfere with the on state function of the converter. So let's just write VG here. I will also draw, since you are learning it for the first time, I will also draw the equivalent circuit to clarify your mind, to clear your mind of any potential confusion. So the on state, when the switch Q is on, we write it like it, Q on. That situation, the equivalent circuit will be, this is VG, this is the transformer, and the switch is on. So Q is on. So this is plus and minus. You can see that potentially this diode is blocking the voltage. Which diode? DZ, because this is the path, Zener path. Sorry, Zener diode is here. Zener anode is here, and cathode is here. So as such, it would have conducted without the diode, but we are putting the diode in this situation. So that diode is blocking the voltage, because this is conducting. Actually diode voltage is plus terminal here, minus terminal here. This is VG, and this is blocking. This will be blocking the voltage, and this will be blocking the input voltage. We can call this voltage as VG. Okay, so this is plus minus, just like any ordinary transformer. This voltage is positive and this voltage is now at this moment is how much? This voltage is VG. Then it is coupled. This is coupled. We have put the dot convention. This is a coupled circuit. The number of turns may be N1 here, number of turns may be N2 here. Now this is plus minus. That plus minus makes the rectified diode to be forward biased. This is forward biased. This is on. This is on. This is on. And this is diode D1. D1 is on. So Q1 is on. When Q1 is on, D1 is on. Both of them on at the same time. Okay. Though it is a passive switch, diode is a passive switch, but this is on when Q1 is on. That's how we are bringing the voltage at this side. Apparently, during on time, its utility is not seen, because even without the diode, the voltage would have gone to the inductor terminal. That is this is the inductor terminal. It would have come, but it will be felt. Its need will be felt when the switch is off. Then it has to block it. Then I don't want the VG voltage to come and interfere with the inductor's volt-second balance, because the buck converter's volt-second balance happens in the off state only by the output voltage V0. VG has no role in it. So if you remember that buck converter off state equation, you have see that there is no role of this. So this is plus minus, this is R, and voltage across it is now VG into.
Excuse me, sir.
Yeah. Please tell me.
In the primary side, the diode will be in reverse bias, right?
Yeah.
So it will be open circuit at that time.
It will be open circuit. That part of the circuit is open. That's why I tried
you
to dot it.
About the blocking mode or something.
Blocking means it is not allowing current to pass. Blocking means that it is blocking.
So just like open circuit, right?
Yeah, it is open circuit. The overall circuit is open circuit. I was just trying to say, without the diode, it won't be open circuit. Then the Zener will conduct. Zener will conduct as a diode. There will be just a simple 0.7 volt drop across the Zener diode.
Yes, sir.
That's what I was trying to say. That it is a very important component, and its polarity has to be this way. That it is blocking the voltage. Blocking the voltage means it is not conducting. When I say blocking a voltage means, suppose I say switch is blocking. What does it mean? I mean the switch is open, but the voltage is applied across it. Voltage is appearing across it. That is what I mean. It is not conducting, and the voltage is blocking the voltage. It is not letting the voltage pass through it. That means blocking. So that is the word blocking in that sense. Okay. So this is the on state of the thing, and so the voltage at this across the inductor is, what is the VL? VL, if I consider is this as VL. VL is nothing but N2 by N1 into VG minus V0. This is during on state, right? There is no current through this diode. This current, let me make it more clear, that there is no current in whichever direction is not zero. This is IZ, if I call it IZ is equal to 0. There is no current. It is blocking that Zener diode is blocking the voltage. So another thing also you can see that similar manner, this is freewheeling diode is also blocking. Freewheeling diode is not conducting, because voltage, its cathode voltage is more than the anode voltage. What is the cathode voltage at this time? With respect to this reference, the cathode voltage is N2 by N1 into VG. So at that point, it is not conducting. It is blocking the voltage. So that's why there is current through this freewheeling diode D is equal to 0. So this diode current is 0. But what happens in the off state? In the off state, the switch you have turned off. So there cannot be any current in that path. There cannot be any current in switch path. Switch path. But there, in order to do the flux balance, there has to be some magnetizing current flowing through the transformer. So what will happen is there will be a magnetizing current. This current is not load current, but let me first do it a little. Let me just not use plus minus here. Plus minus can be used as a convention, but actual voltage, I am drawing your actual voltage. So actual voltage is this. This diode is now conducting, and this Zener is now breaking down, and the voltage across the Zener is plus polarity here, minus polarity here. Diode is conducting. This current, I will say IZ, IQ is equal to 0, I switch is equal to 0, IZ is there. IZ will be equal to the magnetizing current of the transformer. I will sketch it also. But you see the voltage polarity is coming this point as positive and this point as negative because of the Zener breakdown. The Zener breakdown is happening here. Zener breakdown. And Zener breakdown, depending upon the Zener breakdown, you get certain amount of voltage. You can get 30 volt, 40 volts. You have to choose such a kind of Zener. So we'll see how the Zener voltage will affect the circuit operation. Let us say qualitatively the Zener voltage at this moment I define it by a voltage Vz with this polarity convention, plus terminal at the cathode and minus terminal at the anode, right? Because of which the transformer is now seeing minus plus volt. This is what we wanted, because we wanted the transformer to get negative voltage. If a magnetic circuit, in a magnetic circuit, the coil always gets positive voltage, then the volt-second balance cannot happen. Volt-second balance means voltage has to be positive and negative. It has to change its polarity, right? So this is minus plus. So if this is minus now, this is plus now, this D1 is now not conducting. This is blocking. This is now it's not conducting. This is off. So who is conducting? But this inductor current has to have a path and also has to have a volt-second balance. So has to have a negative voltage. So what is happening? This inductor current has to continue. Its energy cannot be disrupted. So the inductor current continues and it automatically forces this diode to conduct. This is what happens in a, this is called freewheeling. The inductor current is freewheeling because freewheeling in the sense that it is itself deciding the path. That is what is freewheeling. It is itself saying that this should be the path. I should maintain my energy in this path, and the diode is supporting it. The diode is being as if turned on by the inductor current, right? So this is qualitatively this is called a freewheeling thing. So this is the inductor current, and the voltage across the inductor, as you know, how much is the voltage across the inductor? The voltage across the inductor with this convention, VL is equal to minus V0, right? What is the voltage across the transformer? Voltage across the transformer will be I will say, if this is plus minus convention and our original convention of transformer voltage, if I say with this polarity convention, plus minus polarity convention, so I will say transformer voltage Vt is equal to minus Vz. Earlier we would have said that Vt is equal to plus Vg. This is the actual, the plus is showing the actual voltage and plus minus is showing our convention of the voltage. This is the convention of Vt. How Vt will be defined. So convention cannot change. So the actual voltage in one case is Vg equal to Vt, and another case is Vz, Vz, right? So first point is that we already know that volt-second balance of the inductor has to be satisfied and the volt-second balance of the transformer has to be satisfied. By the way, all other things are as per your first year knowledge, that the voltage that appears at the secondary side is still, this is N2, this is N1. So this voltage will be how much? Minus Vz into N2 by N1. And what is the diode blocking voltage? This terminal voltage is minus Vz N2 by N1. This terminal voltage is 0. So the blocking voltage is Vz minus Vz into N2 by N1. That is what is showing that the diode is reverse biased. I said that this diode is reverse biased. Why? Why is because this point potential is 0. This point potential is minus Vz into N2 N1. So therefore this diode is reverse biased, because this diode anode is here, cathode is here. This diode is not conducting. This is reverse biased, right? So you understand every switch during on time and during off time. What is happening during on time and what is happening during off time. Now we'll see that in order for it to operate in the steady state, we have to satisfy 2 volt second balance.
So the diode D1 in the secondary side works just like the MOSFET switch in the buck converter, right?
Great interpretation. Correct interpretation. Here, since it is isolated, here Q and D1, they combine and form the switch of the conventional buck converter. Q and D1 is in a group. Q and D1 combine. They behave like a switch, conventional switch of the non-isolated buck converter. That is true. And this D is the diode of the conventional non-isolated buck converter. This D, right? This Dz is an extra component. This Vz is an extra component. They are required for volt second balance of the transformer. They are required solely for the volt second balance of the transformer. Because there are 2 magnetic circuits. Every magnetic circuit you have to give in volt second balance. Anywhere in power electronic converters, if there is a transformer is a magnetic circuit. In general, inductor is a part of the magnetic circuit. Transformer is also a part of the magnetic circuit. So they both, all of them have these simple things you have to absorb. Okay, the simple things, commonsensical things, and this is obvious also. Then what is so different from transformer and an inductor? There is no difference. Absolutely, magnetic circuit wise they have no difference. Just a level. Inductor is doing what? Its flux level is what? Its flux level is high because there is a current Li. So the flux level of the inductor is like this, over which the volt second balance is giving you ripple. What is the in case of a transformer? Transformer volt second balance is saying that its flux level is starting at 0 in this case and go up and down. This is the difference. Its ripple is superimposed or shifted over another flux that is due to L into I average. That is the level on which delta I is producing this flux. Okay, so its flux is shifted in a from 0. It is not at 0 level. Here, as I said in the last class, that it may start from 0 and go up and down, which happens in this converter, which is not a magnetically such an optimum converter, or it can start even from negative and go like that. That is the ideal transformer flux level. But as far as the volt second balance condition is concerned, it is same. It is same. The flux cannot continue to build. It has to be brought back to the initial value. In one case, because it is carrying the load current, its level is high. But you may say, sir, it is also carrying load current. Yes, it is carrying a load current, but only for if I take the load current part. What is happening? Current-wise, what is happening? Current-wise, what is happening? Let me show you. Current-wise, what is happening? Current is what? This current is high. How much? Let us call it IL. How much is IL? From our previous knowledge, we know that IL is V0 by R, right? And it also has some small ripple. It has, let us say, it has some ripple. But let us understand without considering the ripple, because it is unnecessary. It is a somewhat unnecessary complication. But you may take it instantaneous current IL as well. I have no issue at all. I am not trying to make it easier than what it needs to be. You may take IL is an average sense. Let me write small IL. Let me write small IL, which means I am including the ripple as well. So this IL, what will happen? Diode, through diode, it is go like that. So where is it going? It is leaving. Look at it, leaving the dot. Concentrate on the dot terminal. It is leaving the dot terminal. So what is the consequence of that will happen? This is IL. There will be a current flowing through the primary because it is coupled circuit. In a coupled circuit, what happens? That is the advantage transformer is getting. When the transformer is carrying the load current, it has two coils. Inductor doesn't have two coils. So it has to shift the flux level. But what it is happening is this IL is producing a counter current here. Is producing a counter current in the transformer. That is what we call the load component of the current. And what is this counter current value? We will do this way. IL into N2 by N1. That is MMF balance we did. That must be the current IP primary. If I call generically this current as IP or yes, IP. Let us call it IP, primary current. That I prime IP is equal to this plus IM, magnetizing current. Okay, magnetizing is the flux producing component of this. So that is the primary current at that instant. But the load component of the current, if you look at it, this is the load component in the primary, and this current will flow from dot to cross. Where is it flowing? Primary side, dot to cross, which will counteract the cross to dot current in the secondary. So that is cancelled. Load component of the current is not raising the flux level. Load component current is very, very big. That is the very big part of the component. That is how the power balance is happening. Transformer is sending energy from one end to another end. Magnetizing current job is to simply create a flux, and which is decided by the volt second balance, which is decided by the voltage divided by the L of the coil, which is decided by the L primary of the coil, Vg by Lp into dTs. That is the magnetizing current, right? So magnetizing current needs to be continuous, but the load current need not be continuous. During the off time, the transformer has no burden because the secondary side current is zero. You see the secondary side current in this case. What is secondary side current? This transformer current is zero. That IS is equal to 0. Here it is IL is equal to IS. Secondary side current is the load current. So it has to be compensated, and the primary current comes in and pushes the current from dot to cross, so that it doesn't feel any change. The nature's law is like that. It doesn't want to see any change. So whenever it is possible, it has to do that. Inductor doesn't have that option. Inductor doesn't have the second coil. Okay, so inductor cannot do anything. It has to raise the flux level according to the level of the load current. It has to raise up. It has to go up. It has to go up. But here it cannot, need not, because whatever flux level would have gone up due to the current, it has been compensated by the primary current. Primary and secondary has compensated each other and brought the load current related flux to 0. Right? You have been taught like that also in the other courses, I guess. So that is what is happening. But there is some current. What current? What you call as transformers magnetizing current, the flux producing current, and that is what? That is like just like applied voltage divided by L into time. The way we write the equation. And what is the applied voltage? In this case, Vg. What is the applied? Yeah, sure.
Yes, sir. With respect to the primary coil of the transformer, in the on state it has a load current, and in off state it has only magnetizing current. Is it like that?
In the on state of the transformer, it has a load current as well as magnetizing current. In the off state of the transformer, it has only magnetizing current. The on state of the transformer, magnetizing current goes up like this. In the off state of the transformer, magnetizing current comes down like this.
Okay, so
magnetizing current is continuous because the flux has to be continuous. That is not a change, and that is why you are applying voltage plus and voltage minus. Plus voltage, you push the current, magnetizing current like this. and minus voltage you push the magnetizing current, bring it down to the line. Magnetizing current is synonymous with flux, is synonymous. It means the flux has gone up little, that is the ripple type of flux gone up, and then ripple type of flux gone down. But overall the flux level is touching zero.
Okay. Sir, like I mean, for transformer, is it okay like if the current changes like that, like in steps?
Yes, yes, yes. Why transformer? I am not, any magnetic circuit, any coupled magnetic circuit, if you have more than 2 coils, you can afford to change current in one of them, because all together is deciding the flux. You can afford to change. There is no thing that in a coil current cannot change drastically, suddenly. It's not like that. If it is a single coil, it cannot change. But if it is a coupled circuit with many coils, you have to see total effect. So one of them changing will mean another of them changing. Okay, suppose that in general I make three coil transformer. Then one, if the current changes in one coil, I can afford to change because I do the switching in such a way, I deliberately don't take the current in one coil. That will correspondingly make the adjustment in the other coils. In these coils, due to switching, what caused it? Due to switching, I deliberately said that I don't want to take any current in this. So immediately this coil saw that the flux level is cannot be maintained now. So it immediately saw that it also should not take any current, the load current. So it saw that it cannot be load current. Then came the transformer's own requirement of maintaining the magnetizing current or the volt-second balance. Magnetizing current and volt-second balance condition are synonymous, are meaning the same physics. The physics-wise, it is the same. Okay, so it saw that, yeah, I also did not conduct. Then it saw, what is it a problem if I don't conduct? Then inductor said, this inductor said, no, I don't need you to conduct. I have my path. I have my path through this diode. So I am happy. You don't have to bother to conduct for me. So this is consistent. This switch turning off is consistent with this diode turn off. They are consistent. They don't contradict each other. They don't impose unnecessary load on each other. So it is okay. But then this transformer primary coil said, but already I have raised my flux level to this, from 0 to this level. This is my flux level. My flux level was not more because secondary coil helped me to cancel my flux level. Even though I have carried load component of the current during on time, the primary coil has carried the load current. But its flux level, the magnetic circuit's flux level has not gone up because they compensated by the secondary coil as well, same time, right? So, but transformer has only one complaint. So no, but I have raised my flux level little bit I have raised because there was a voltage across it and there was my own inductance is there. So I have raised my current. This is the magnetizing current I have raised. So what to do about it? Then the designer said, don't worry, I will give you a path. So designer gave a path to the diode and the Zener, and just a diode would not have been enough, because just a diode means its voltage is 0. That means its flux would have remained here. It would not have changed. So it has to give a voltage which is negative. And the designer said, well, I will give a voltage which is negative. That is the Zener voltage. I will put the Zener cathode in this portion and anode in this portion. So you are also happy. So everybody is happy. Their physics, all the physics that is related to their thing is supported, consistently supported. Nobody has any point. The switch is not complaining. The magnetic is not complaining, and the capacitor has very little things to complain because this part of the circuit has nothing switching. It is very stable circuit. On state and off state doesn't change. Capacitor doesn't really feel much of a difference in what is happening in other parts of the circuit. So did I explain it to you? Have I explained it to you? Okay.
Yes.
This makes sense. Okay. So that, let me write the volt-second balance of the transformer now. Volt-second balance of the inductor will be like this. Inductor volt-second balance is Vg into N2 by N1 into minus V naught into D plus minus V naught 1 minus D is equal to 0. So what is that formula we are getting? Vg into N2 minus N1 into D is equal to V naught. It is the same formula with a trans ratio coming in. So you see that using the trans ratio we can put higher voltage, lower voltage, anything. If N2 is greater than N1, then we are getting what conventional buck converter would have got. Conventional buck converter, compare this with Vg into D is equal to V naught. This is a factor which can be used to so that basic traditional constraint that buck converter only produces lower voltage because D cannot be more than 1 is going. We can use N2 by N1 ratio to have the voltage. So that's why you will see that most of the isolated topologies are based on buck converter topologies. The boost converter, isolated boost converter topologies are not in so much of a demand because as such you have an N2 by N1. Sometimes it may be so that because of practical reasons, but theoretically there is no limit. Practically there may be some cases where you feel that you may have to have a boost first and then using transformer another boost. Maybe when you are doing very high gain, that kind of constraint may happen. Let us say you are trying to do it from 48 volt to 1 volt. It's a 48 gain. That may be a very difficult thing because the trans ratios will be so much different. So number of turns will be so much different, then coupling may not be okay. One side 1 turn, another side 48 turn. That is not a good design. So those are practical aspects of it. But don't bring practical aspects in the beginning. Understand the meaning of it. Meaning is that a big constant is going with this trans ratio. It's an additional advantage. We are getting isolation as well as we are getting scaling. This is an additional advantage. That is very important to appreciate at this stage. Okay, so this is most of the topologies are buck derived topologies. There will be a one buck boost derived topology, and that is called flyback. In fact, flyback is a split inductor. It is not truly a transformer. And I define why the transformer. What is the difference between transformer and inductor? In an inductor, the flux levels are high and then go up and down. And in a transformer, the flux levels are low. And they either go from 0 to this or go from even better minus to plus. This is minus 5M to plus 5M. In the last class I had talked about, right? Okay. So this is one constant, but is that all? No. Because of the transformer, we have a second constant. This is constant number 1. The second constant. What is the constant? You can see in your circuit. When the on time the voltage across the coil 1 is how much? Vg. And how much is the time? dTs. Must be balanced by what? Must be balanced by minus Vz into 1 minus dTs is equal to 0. I am ignoring the diode drop. I am not bringing the diode drop. If you want to be very accurate, you bring diode drop or switch drop. Those are, you know how to do it. It's just writing with the diode drop, but that is not very necessary. So what we are getting is that what is the volt second balance condition is saying? That is saying Vz into 1 minus d by d is equal to Vg, right? So what is it saying? What it is saying? One way it is saying that given Vg, let us say given d, then you have a compulsion to choose a Zener voltage which is at least greater than this. So we have a compulsion to choose a Zener voltage. So that will be, we have to choose a Vz, which is nothing but dVg by 1 minus d. Now, do we have to choose precisely that? Just exactly that? No, because if we choose precisely that, the magnetizing current will come precisely to 0 at the end of 1 minus d. This is d, this is 1 minus d. Magnetizing current will come, or the flux will be coming back to just to this level. but we don't need it. We can make it a discontinuous conduction. So what is the discontinuous conduction mode? We can have a current which is like this, and then due to Zener it comes down to 0 much earlier. We only need 0. We only need to reach 0. So the next time we'll again start like that. So discontinuous conduction mode current in magnetizing current is okay. This is just touching 0. So we have to have, the condition is actually Vz should be greater than equal to dVg by 1 minus d, 1 minus d, right? So given d, the constant is coming on Vz. Given Vz, constant is coming on d. Do you understand the other way around? Suppose I have chosen, suppose let me take an example. Suppose this is a, it's a, yes.
So greater than equal to for continuous mode, right?
No, for discontinuous. If Vz is greater, then it comes down to 0 quickly. This is Vz is doing this part of the current shaping. What is the equation of current here? This current equation is Vg by L primary into dTs. That is the current. And what is the current here? Vz by Lp into 1 minus dTs with initial current whatever. That is equal to Im peak. So from that Im peak, this will be minus, this will be the current. So this current would be, this part of the current will at least make it come down to 0. At least make it. So this part of the current is more, then it is coming down to 0 faster. And there is this. Then there is a discontinuous conduction. You understand that current is increased by the applied voltage Vg. That is the magnetizing current in the on time. This is the during on time. And during off time, what is happening? It is getting a voltage of Vz, and more Vz means it is coming down to 0. Vz is in the reverse direction. It tries to bring down the current, right? So therefore it will bring down it faster if Vz is greater than equal to 0. That is to be satisfied. So moral of this story is that if you choose Vg and if you choose d as per your buck converter requirement, right? You have chosen Vg, you have chosen N1 by N2 or N1 by N2 or N2 by N1, all that you have chosen. You have thought only about buck converter in the beginning, right? But after you have thought about it, then you have to choose what is the Zener voltage. Zener voltage then becomes dependent on it. It is not arbitrary then. It is also a function of duty ratio. So therefore you have to choose the Zener voltage according to this constraint. So this is an additional constraint coming in forward converter. In other way, if you try to think, it is obvious, I am not bored, you are intelligent enough to understand. If you choose Zener voltage, then the constant is coming on the duty ratio, given Vg, given N2 by N1. Then the constant is coming on the duty ratio. How much duty ratio you can operate with? Logically, I can operate buck converter with a duty ratio of 100%. Logically, when as far as this is concerned. But here we have a constant that we may not be able to operate with a this thing of 100%. Let us take one example. This is a 20/4. I am just doing from my mind, and this is an inductor, and this is the switch. Let me give you some values so that maybe it is slightly clear. So let us say N1 by N1 is to N2. Let us say I am doing boost 1 is to 2. So 24 volt comes here as 48 volt. So 48 volt, and here the duty ratio, let us say I am putting at let us say we don't decide the duty ratio. We will see the constant on the duty ratio. So this voltage is 48 volt, and this voltage is let me do the Zener circuit. I want to show you the constant of duty ratio. So I have put a Zener. Let us say a voltage of voltage of 12 volt. Let us say I have put a Zener of 12 volt Zener. This Zener voltage is 12 volt, right? So I want to know what will be the constant on the duty ratio. The constant on the duty ratio is then coming out to be, I have understood that Vz has to be greater than equal to d by 1 minus d into dg. So this 12 volt has to be greater than equal to d by 1 minus d into 24. So so d by 1 minus d is so or 1 minus d should be greater than equal to 2d. Just again, that is the constant. So what is that? 1 should be greater than equal to 3d. So what is mean is d should be less than equal to 1 by 3. That is the constant you have to follow, which essentially means I cannot operate this switch beyond 1/3 duty ratio. And when the maximum voltage that I can get here is, because it is 1:2, this voltage is 48 into 1 by 3. That is the max voltage, V naught max. I cannot afford to get, this is 16. In this converter, I cannot get more than 16 volt here. This is V naught. Do you understand what I did? Have you understood what I did? Because of the volt second balance of the transformer, I am getting this condition. Like I have what condition I am getting? That V Zener has to be this. I have already chosen a Zener voltage. Let us say, based on the availability, I have chosen a Zener voltage 12 volt, and that is putting me a constant, giving me a constant that I cannot operate the transformer beyond a duty ratio of 1/3. And if the duty ratio is 1/3, this 24 volt, when it gets to the secondary side, because of the trans ratio of 1:2, it becomes 48 volt. So 48 volt into D is the output voltage, and the D cannot be greater than 1/3. So the output voltage cannot be greater than 16 volt. So in this converter, you yes.
So if D greater than 1 by 3, then the system will work as a continuous mode, right?
No, system beyond that thing will not work. It will not. Just continuous mode is happening at D is equal to 1/3. If you go beyond 1/3, this magnetic circuit will be unsaturated. Will keep on building. The current will not be like that. It will look like this. Just D is equal to 1/3, it will come back like this. Suppose you have done mode, given mode. So what will happen? That will not come down to 0. It will come to here at the end of the period. Next, again you have gone up. This is independent of anything. You are giving, applying VG. So it is this, and then again it will not come back. Next cycle it will not come back. So magnetic circuit will eventually saturate after some time. It will go.
So sir, at D equal to 1 by 3, it will be continuous mode just, and before D less than 1 by 3, it will be discontinuous, right?
It will be discontinuous and it will work. It will work.
Okay, sir.
It will work. Here it will not work. Here, if you go with 12 volt Zener with 1:2 trans, 12 volt Zener, just requirement is 12 volt Zener with 24 volt thing, because it doesn't depend on the trans ratio. There is no trans ratio effect here. Trans ratio is just affecting the output voltage. It doesn't affect the Zener, the magnetizing current volt second balance or the transformer coil volt second balance. So therefore, if you do not apply the so if you are using 12 volt, you are constrained by the condition of magnetic circuits, transformer circuits, flux balance, that you have to have duty ratio less than 1/3. So now the question is, then anybody will be commonsensically saying, then why do we not increase it? Why do we not increase it? What is the problem? Why don't we go to 36 volt? Well, obviously the duty ratio will increase, the allowable duty ratio will increase, but what is happening? Here the loss has to be considered. Power electronics is always considered in, always have to take into consideration the losses that are happening. You can see this is a loss. This will affect the efficiency. And how much is the loss? You can take the loss as, if you want to be very accurate, how much is the loss? This is the loss. This is the current waveform. This is the current waveform. What is the current waveform? Vg by LP. LP will be known. This peak value is how much? Into dTs. That is the peak value. And how much is the loss? Vi, average loss. So half at this area, if I do, this area is how much? 1 minus dTs is this thing, and peak is how much? Vg by so this is not 1 minus dTs. This will reset earlier. Let me do it. Sorry. So how much time it will take to come down? I will say it is discontinuous mode. So it is D2. It is D2 TS. So how much time it will take to come down? It will take, this is the peak, I peak. The equation is Vz by Lp into D2 TS. So D2 TS is equal to I peak into Lp by Vz. That is the time. So what is the loss during this time? What is the loss? Loss is V, one is Vz. During this time the voltage across this is Vz. And what is the average current? What is the average current? Is half of D2 TS into IP divided by IP divided by TS. That is the average D2 TS. And Vz, this is lots in the zeros, Pz. So Vz is equal to Vz into half. D2 is how much? D2 is sorry, not here. What is the loss? This one. Okay. So IP was how much? IP is equal to, let me write IP. IP is the basic IP is Vg by Lp to dTs. Vg by Lp into dTs, that is IP into D2. D2 is how much? Again IP is coming, right? IP is again coming, so that means this square, right, into Lp by Vz, okay, into Lp by Vz. Some mistake I am making. What is that mistake I am making? Or maybe it is correct. This is Vz I have done. D2.
So one more TS will come in the denominator, I guess.
Yes, one more denominator will come in the denominator. Right, let me cross check. I peak I have done correctly. I peak can be done 2 ways, that is okay. So here I am trying to write in terms of Vg. So first is Vz, that is correct, and this part is this one. This Vz cancels. So I guess I am right, because D2 is how much? D2 TS is Lp, Vz by Lp into D2 TS will be IP from that side. So D2 TS is nothing but IP Lp by Vz. So this is the Vz, half of the average value of the current is nothing but area divided by TS. So area is D2 TS into IP. This is IP. So this is correct. So D2 into IP. So half of D2 into IP. What did I do? Why I wrote IP here? And this is IP, and this is D2 is equal to Lp by Vz, and IP, because of IP I have made this square, and this is TS, so it is correct. So this would be the loss. This would be the loss in the this would be the loss in the thing.
Sir, how did you get the Vg by L into dTs term?
How did I get? How much is the peak current of the thing? What is the peak current of the?
Oh,
side?
okay, got it.
How much is the peak current of the? Okay. So there is a loss in the Zener in the Zener part of the thing. So this is not very good. This is not very good, and we should see such a reset circuit where this kind of loss is not happen. It doesn't happen. So that is the also LP. LP is the inductance of the primary coil. LP is the inductance of the primary coil. LP inductance of the primary coil. So yeah. So what is the solution? The better solution, the solution that should be is a new topology of this thing, but only with a reset circuit that is not lossy. That is Zener type of reset circuit is a first effort, but it is not. But it is easy effort because there is just a simple Zener will be there in the laboratory or any market. You can just put it and forget it. Here it will require some little more amount of complication. What is the complication that will require? Now all changes will be in the reset circuit. Think only from that point of view. And this is the switch, right? First, let me draw the thing that will happen earlier, that we have drawn earlier. That is diode. This is diode. This part is unchanged, right? This part is unchanged. It's a Buck-derived converter, right? Okay. But now we'll bring in another coil coupled to this. Okay, this is a tertiary coil. We call it tertiary coil, and we'll connect the tertiary coil like this. This will be used for reset. The voltage that we wish to generate, not here. Sorry. Yeah, that is okay. The voltage that we wish to generate. Through Zener is now obtained through the third coil, and the third coil polarity, you will realize that it will be here, dot convention will come here. So this is called a tertiary coil. Its job will be the job of the Zener was doing. Whatever the job Zener was doing in the previous circuit, it will do that, and we'll see how. It is easy. If you understand magnetic circuit, it is easy. It is very easy. First of all, this is called tertiary. Tertiary winding. Tertiary winding. W-I-N-D-I-N-G. Winding. This is tertiary. Tertiary winding. This is the third coil turns. This is the primary main coil turns N1 by N1 and N2 here. This is N1, N2. Let us say it is N3. So what will happen? Equivalent circuit, let me draw quickly. What is equivalent circuit? Primary equivalent circuit is not changed. That time the voltage is plus minus here Vg. The voltage here is plus minus N2 by N1 Vg, and so on. This diode conducts. This is a conducting current. The current conducts. This switch conducts. Okay, this switch is conducting. Q is on state. Q is on. This is conducting. What is happening at that time here? Can this diode conduct? Let us call this diode as DT. Okay, let us call this diode as D. This diode as D1. D1 is D1 are conducting as per buck converter condition. Small d is not conducting. It is not freewheeling. Inductor current is not freewheeling. Inductor current is still going to the loop and is taken from the transformer. Current is flowing through the transformer. This is the transformer current. This is only the load component of the current. If this is IL, this is IL flowing. This current is again IP is equal to IL plus I magnetizing, I magnetizing. Major part is IP, IL. You may not be able to see any difference. You may, not IL into N2 by N1. You may not be able to see any difference, okay, because magnetism current is so low. We don't want it to be high. We are putting good enough number of turns in the primary coil and good enough value of the LP. So there is nothing. But what is happening? Is this interfering? We don't want it to interfere. Can you see that it is not interfering? Yes, it is not interfering because this plus minus is producing a voltage plus minus here because it's a coupled circuit. 3 coils are coupled. In the same core, you are winding them. Coupled means what? Your magnetic core is common. 3 coils are there in the same magnetic core. That is called coupled. This is VG. This is VG. So what is the voltage now? Across the diode, you see this terminal is 0 and this terminal is negative. Minus plus, minus plus. It is more negative. How much is the voltage here? This voltage here is VG plus N3 by N1 into VG. This point terminal. That is a positive voltage at the cathode terminal of the diode, DT. So DT is reverse biased. So there is no current. It is reverse biased. Reverse biased. So this current is 0. So this current direction wise, it should be this the nominal direction. That direction wise 0. That current is 0. No current here. Right? So what will happen in the second part? What will happen in the second part? Second part, it will happen like this. Second part, how it will happen? This is now off. You have turned it off. Open, right? Open. If this is open, then we also know this is open, right? What is secondary side? Secondary side, the diode is conducting, and this inductor is getting is continuity of current through the diode. This diode D, it is continuity, no issue, right? There is no current to transformer primary, but you have now asked earlier. You have given there is no current to the transformer primary can be afforded if you shift the magnetizing current to somewhere. Earlier it was not, it could not be afforded. Why? The magnetizing current, at least magnetizing current had to be given a path, and that path was provided by the Zener. That's why from this terminal we had connected to Zener. But now there is no need for the current to be flowing at all in this coil. In the coil number 1, there is no need to current to be flowing because we have given a path. Because in a magnetizing current is now jumping here. Magnetizing current is now can jump here immediately the moment you turn it off and flow where? From this to this. Why it has to flow from this to this? Because magnetizing current means same current, flux maintenance. The magnetizing current is here, IM from dot to cross during the on time. But when it has been cut in the off time, this current will jump immediately from there, right? From there to the secondary. They combined way they are supporting the magnetics, the flux in the coil. So one has relinquished his job, and another fellow has picked up. That is the third coil. They are together. They are in it together for sustenance of the magnetizing current. So there is no particular burden on coil number 1 to maintain magnetizing current. It could have jumped somewhere else also. Sometimes we see that it will jump in this secondary coil number 2, but in this case it is not, because it will not be supporting the other constants, right? So what will happen here is the magnetizing current will now jump, and jump in what way? Because during on time the magnetizing current had gone to this value, peak value. I am drawing about only magnetizing current. This magnetizing current had gone at this value during the on time in coil number 1. So this was coil number 1, IP magnetizing. IP is primary, this coil IP. IP generally total current is, I will say, this is IP, and IP has 2 parts, IPL plus IPM. So this is IPM, right? During DTS, this is DTS. It has gone. After that what? After that IPM can afford to be 0. So total current was how much? There was some extra current. As I know that this current will be there. That is component that is load part of the current. You can put it here. Some load part of the current here. Total current is this plus this, right, in the primary. in the secondary, when it is off, neither the load current will flow nor the magnetizing current will flow, because we have provided another coil, another tertiary coil. So what will happen? The current will now shift to the tertiary. So tertiary coil current will take from here, and it has to come down to 0. Sometime I am doing a more discontinuous safe condition. It has to come down to 0 here. And what will be the value of this peak? Can you tell me what will be the value of this peak? This peak is, let us say, IPM, I capital P, let us say I capital PM. So what will be this peak? When whichever peak in, this current is in the tertiary. This is current in the IT, let me call it IT. This is IT, this is I tertiary. Okay, IT, tertiary coil current. So what will be the peak of the tertiary coil current? Again,
N1 by N3.
yes.
Into IPM.
Yes. N1. This IT is equal to N1 IPM by N3. That current, and then it will fall. Then it will fall to 0. D2T. Yes, I am answering. I will answer. This is D2TS. It will fall. And what is the voltage across it when it is falling? What is the voltage across the coil? What is the voltage across this coil? How much is the voltage? Minus Vg, because this is Vg and diode is conducting. So this voltage, diode conducts, means this point is plus minus. Our convention of voltage is plus minus here, or plus minus here. Then this voltage is minus Vg. This is convention of voltage of Vt. So Vt is equal to minus Vg. So Vt is equal to minus Vg. So what is the slope? The slope will be how much? Minus Vg by Lt. That is the inductance of the tertiary coil. That is the slope, right? That is the slope will be the thing. Yes, please. Yes.
Yes, so like in the graph you have drawn, what's the blue line?
Blue. This is green.
Okay,
You are talking
green is the current through the primary coil, so it will be 0 in the second half. I mean, in like off state it will be 0.
Off state is 0. Off state is 0. Off state is 0. It doesn't. The difference is that it doesn't have the burden of carrying load current as well as the magnetizing current. In the on time, it has carried this. This is only the magnetizing current. It is also carrying in the on time. It is also carrying the load current. So two currents are together in the primary on the on time, right? Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
So like in the off state, the current goes through like positive terminal of like Vg, right? Like that would be the current path.
Yeah. It is returning back the magnetizing energy. Whatever magnetizing energy it had taken, it is now returning back, as you are rightly saying. So that's why you think it is lossless. Ignoring the diode, small diode drop related loss, it is lossless. The energy that it had absorbed in the magnetizing path, it is giving back. Because why? The current is this direction. IT is this direction. IT, when it is flowing, it is in this direction. It is in this direction. That means it is going to this. Because there is no primary current at that time, in the off time. During the off time, primary current is 0. Right? During the off time, primary current 0, and it is now going back. So this is why it is a lossless number, but it requires a complicated magnetic circuit. It requires a third coil to be put, and there are other issues like leakage inductance that I am not discussing. That whenever you have a coupled circuit, there are issues of leakage inductance that I will not discuss. Maybe at the end I will just hint it how to do it, but it is for the advanced courses to see. But really, at least you should understand that there is some magnetizing leakage inductance, and it complicates, because leakage inductance requires its volt-second balance also. Right? And whenever it doesn't have, it gives a spike. So most of the time we don't take care of the leakage inductance, assuming that our coupling is very good, and that's why the voltage spike appears across the switches, appears across the diodes, etc., etc. There will be a voltage spike across the MOSFET, because there will be coupling leakage inductance in this path. I said that the current is immediately 0, which practically cannot happen. This current I said immediately 0. That means I am ignoring the leakage inductance that is there. Coupling is good means no leakage inductance. Coupling is perfect, not good. Good is just even then there is some 1%, 2% is leakage inductance. But what is happening to leakage energy? That has nowhere to go because you have turned off the switch. Why there is nowhere to go in this branch? So what will happen? It will produce a voltage spike across the MOSFET, and if it is too much, the MOSFET may fail. Most of the time, power electronic converters fail because of voltage spikes, because we do not have well managed leakage inductance in the circuit. So that's why it will be hardware is so difficult. You have to think that in a realistic circuit there is a leakage inductance here, there is a leakage inductance here. Any path, any wire you have drawn, there is a leakage inductance. If there is a leakage inductance in this diode path, so this also will create a voltage spike across the diode, because you are many times you are assuming that the current instantaneously falls to zero. It's a discontinuous thing. That is correct. No fundamental mistake in that. That is supposed to happen, but with the assumption that the circuit is ideal, it doesn't have any leakage inductance. Right. So primary. Let's take one quick example and number. Quick example with number. Let us quickly do one. Let me do the same thing. 24 volt. Let us do. Let us do 1:2, 1:2, and let us do this. This is 0.5, half. 1:2 half. Let us do that. This is diode. This is another diode. This is inductor. This is capacitor. This is resistance. This is 24 volt, and this is MOSFET. This is MOSFET. This is dot convention is here. So what is the? Let us quickly say that D is equal to, just assume that D is equal to 0.4. So how much is it coming? This is 48. 48 into 0.4 is how much? 48 into 0.4. Let me do. That is equal to V naught. V naught is 48 into 0.4. 48 into 0.4. So how much is 19.2? Is equal to 19.2 with output voltage. So so this is output voltage is this 19.2. Let's say I have put a resistance such that this current is 5 ampere. This is 5 ampere. So 5 ampere means R is equal to 19.2 divided by 5. Yeah, this is 3.84 ohm, let us say. So this is 5 ampere. This current average is 5 ampere. At the moment I am not considering ripple, and let us say ripple is 20% in the inductor. So 20% ripple means 5 into 0.2 is the ripple, so that is 1 ampere. So plus minus wise, this is 5, this is 5 ampere, so it is 5.5 ampere. So this point is 4.5 ampere. So that is the on-state current of the thing. So this current is now that current is coming through it. So what will be the transformer primary current, IP, during on time? This is one current is magnetizing current, and another part of the current is the load current. So load current is how much? Because of the trans ratio, this 5.5 ampere current will reflect here as 5.5 divided by 2. So it is 2.75, and 4.5 will be coming as 2.25. That is the current. So what is the magnetizing current? To get the magnetizing current, we need to find out, we need to know what is the primary LP. Let us say LP is equal to, let us say it's a magnetizing thing. It will be, let us say 200 microhenry. So it is 200 microhenry. So how much is the I peak? I peak is 24 divided by 200 microhenry into 0.4 into 10 microsecond. TS is equal to, let us say 10 microsecond. So how much is it? I peak is how much? 24 into 0.4 into 10 divided by 200. So I peak is 0.48 ampere. 0.48 ampere. So this peak, this is slightly more, for 480 milliampere is slightly more. So let me increase it to 400 microhenry. 400 microhenry, it is slightly more. So 0.24. So 240 milliampere is the peak. So this peak is 240 milliampere. So overall current is getting a shape of this plus 240 milliampere. So it will be, peak will be 2.75 plus 0.24. So that is 2.75 plus 0.24. So how much it is? 2.99 ampere. So this is 2.99 as well. Yeah.
So won't it be 5 into 2 like 10, and I mean to say it is 9 and 11, right?
Oh, okay. 1:2. It will be 10 ampere. Thank you. So this is I'm sorry. So this is not 5.5 into 2. 5.5 into 2. So it is 11 ampere, and this is 4.5 into 2, that is 9 ampere. So it is 9 ampere. So this current is then 11.24 ampere. This is 11.24 ampere. Correct. Thank you for pointing this out. 11.24 ampere. This is the magnetizing part of the current. This is the current, and this is the total current IP. After that it is 0. After that it is 0. Primary current. So what is happening to the secondary tertiary current? Let us say tertiary current. What is happening? The peak value was 0.24 ampere. So into N1 by N3 is equal to I T peak, I tertiary current peak. So how much is it? What about it? So what happened? This is tertiary current peak. So why 24? Sorry, it is 0.24 ampere into N1 by N3. So N1 by N3 is equal to how much? N1 is 1, N3 is half. So into 2. So I T peak is equal to 0.48 ampere, right? So okay. So this is 0.48 ampere, and it will be falling it with what slope? With this slope. Okay. And what is the slope? That is equal to, this is 0.48 ampere. 0.48. That is during off time. On time it is 0. On time it is 0. This tertiary current on time is 0. Then it is 0.48 ampere and it's falling. And what is the slope? Slope we have seen is Vg. Vg is equal to 24 volt, and the inductance of the tertiary coil, LT. What is LT? LT is equal to this half square into this LP. LP is equal to 400 micro, right? So it is how much? 4 divided by 4. It is 100 micro. 100 microhenry. So this is for falling with a slope of 24 by 100 microhenry, right? So so what will be microhenry? That is the slope. Is it matching? How much time it will take? D2 into TS is equal to 0. So now D2 TS is equal to, it has fallen by that time. It has fallen a value of current of how much it was? 0.48. 0.48. Did I do correctly? Yes, I hope I have done correctly. So D2 is how much? D2 is how much? D2 TS is how much? D2 TS is equal to 0.48 into 100 microhenry, or D2, let us say, into 100 microhenry by 24 divided by 10 micro. That is D2. So 10, it is 4.8 by 24. So it is how much? 4.8 divided by 24. So it is 0.2. I hope I have done correctly. The peak value is this, correct? This is the slope into D2 TS is 0.48. So I need to know how much is D2. So D2 is equal to 0.48 into 100 divided by 24 divided by 10. So it is 4.8 divided by 24, it is 0.2. So that is the time 0.2 of D2, it will be coming down. So this duration is 0.2 TS. Understood? I have done a little quickly calculation, but I guess you could follow it. I assume that you have followed it. This is the way things will work. Any issue, please. Yes, tell me.
Yes, so like how did we get the value of IP? IP is like the peak value of the magnetizing current, right?
Peak value of the magnetizing current. Magnetizing current is how much? Magnetizing current was how much? 24 by 400 microhenry into 0.4 into 10 micro.
Like
because that
how
is the,
did we
that
get
is the,
that?
Because the on time the sweep voltage across this LP is how much? VG.
Yes.
LP is, I have assumed to be 400 microhenry. That is the magnetizing inductance of the primary coil or inductance of the primary coil. The
Yes,
current.
sir.
Sorry, okay.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So 24 is the voltage across it. 400 is the microhenry. Time is 0.4 into 10 microsecond. So that means I have got a current of 0.24 ampere. 0.24 ampere this. But when it shifts to the tertiary coil, how will it shift? It will shift with the MMF balance. So 0.24 into N1 by N3 should be the tertiary coil current peak. Next I am doing the thing in the tertiary coil. So tertiary coil current, whatever current was 0.24 there, is 0.48 here, current wise, because it is going as per the MMF balance. Because the tertiary coil has a number of turns which is half the primary coil. Okay, so that is why it is 0.48. And what is the voltage across it? Because this diode is conducting, the voltage across it is 24 volt. Diode conducting this time is clamped to 24, right? So it is clamped to 24. So that 24 volt is appearing here. And what is the inductance of this coil? Inductance changes as per the square of the turns. So L2 will be how much? 1/4. 1/4 of 400 microhenry. That will be 100 microhenry, right? Then I do simple thing. Here also current has to fall down to 0. I don't know when it will fall down to 0. I only require that it falls down before the off period is over. Then only know it is safe. Because same period it has to fall down. I check it is that it is 24 is this, and 100 microhenry is the inductor, D2 TS, and how much it has to fall? 0.48 ampere, because the peak was 0.48. So D2 is coming out to be 0.2. So I am happy that D2 is less than 1 minus D. I am happy that it will do volt second balance. It will do resetting. That it will do. And it is automatic. It will happen automatically. So this is the way we can design a converter which is also a forward converter, but with no loss. Advantage wise, as you had observed correctly, this magnetizing current is now returning back to the source. So whatever energy, inductive energy, and that is what happened in transformer also. You remember how it happens? Because in classical transformer we draw 90-degree shifted current as the magnetizing current. This is the voltage. We say that the current is like this. That is what energy is, in this case energy going, in this case energy returning. Voltage and current negative means energy is returning, and in this case, so magnetizing current, that's why I say is no loss. And here also it is happening that it returns. Earlier case, every time I draw magnetizing current, it becomes lossy through the Zener diode. So that has been avoided. Okay. Right. So now let me do.
Sir?
Yeah.
What ensures that D2 is always less than 1 minus D?
What ensures? What ensures is what ensures that D2 is always less than 1 minus D. So let's take a volt second balance of this of the primary coil. volt-second balance. So for my volt-second balance of the primary coil, let me take another page. Volt-second balance of the primary Vg into dTs plus plus its volt-second balance will be minus Vg, because tertiary coil voltage is this and its voltage is N1 by N3. Okay, so this has to be 0, right? Into d2 ts is equal to 0. So what you are getting is that I want d2 to be less than 1 minus d, right? I want, this is when the volt-second balance will happen. So at the extreme case, it is Vg into d minus Vg into N1 by N3 into 1 minus d is equal to 0 at the extreme case. So Vg cancels, Vg cancels. We are getting is that N1 by N3 is equal to what? N1 by N3 is equal to d d by 1 minus d. So here I want, in this specific case, it is 0.4 and this 1 minus 0.4. So what is it? That is 0.4 by 0.2. So it is equal to 2. So if N1 equal to, did I do it correctly? Vg dTs, Vg, oh sorry, Vg into N3 by N1, that is correct, into d2 ts is equal to 0. So Vg into d minus Vg into this N1 N3 into this. At the extreme case, d2 is equal to 1 minus d. At the extreme case, d2 is equal to 1 minus d when the just it will be happening. So if I do it that way, then I am getting that yeah. So so it is.
Sir, will it not be 0.6? 2 by 3.
Oh, okay. Correct. Yeah, that is what I wanted. So we have to have maximum trans ratio we can have is that is N3 has to be N1 by N3. N1 by N3 has to be at least this. Right. Did I do N1 by N3 correctly? Yes. As long as N1 by N3 is greater than this will be happening. N1 by N3 is greater than 2/3, it is the extreme case. As long as N1 by N3 is greater than this, it will be happening. The volt-second balance will be happening. So if N1 by N3 is greater than 2 by 3, the volt-second balance will be happening. That's what the answer is. So you can find out what N3 you must choose under the extreme case. I may give you a problem like that. That make sure choose N3 such that the volt-second balance is happening. Choose N3 such that the transformer is resetting just at the end of the off period. I can give such a problem. Understood? Hello?
Yes, sir.
So this is the way your N3 is has to be selected. If it is happening, then the volt-second balance will be happening. Since we have chosen N3 smaller, much smaller than this, however, what is our N3? Our N1 by N3 was 2. Our N1 1 by half. Our N1 by N3 is 2. So it is better. So that's why it is happening earlier. It is taking less time. It is happening in 0.2 duty ratio at that point. D2 is 0.2. D2 is not required to be 0.6. It is 0.2. Okay. So good. next is some other converters we can also think of which does volt second balance. One easy way of doing is when you do not want tertiary winding, what you do is this is called two switch converter. That means two, this is the way I'm drawing, you look at it. This is the transformer coil. I have put two switches. Q1, Q2 in series with the transformer. Two switches are in series with the transformer, right? I have put, and all of them will be turned on together. Secondary side is unchanged. I'm not drawing it. Secondary side is unchanged. Here the job is not to use lossy thing as well as not to use an auxiliary tertiary winding of the transformer. So this is first VG. So magnetizing current, initially the current will flow like that. Then for magnetizing current, I need to provide a path. So let me provide a path. Magnetizing current has to flow like that. Since I don't have a tertiary winding, I want it to return back to this. So I will go there, return it back to this, and then it will return back to this also. So I will do and I will do this. Have you seen? Can you see that how magnetizing current is returning back? Can you see that? Yes or no? The magnetizing current was there in this direction. Now during off time it will flow like this. It will flow like this. This is what is the magnetizing current will do during the off time. So this is a two switch forward converter. If it is called a two switch forward converter. Other part is just. So what is it happening? Volt second balance, how is it happening? Vg into D, and reverse way it is minus Vg. When the diode is clamping them, then Vg into 1 minus D is equal to 0. So that means D max of this converter is equal to 0.5. This is the extreme volt second balance for the coil LP. Extreme volt second balance of the coil LP. This implies that D max is equal to 0.5. It can work with 0.4 because then the current will be, magnetizing current will be discontinuous. But if you want the magnetizing current to be continuous, then just barely continuous. It should not shift. It should not leave the zero level. It should never leave the zero level. It should barely be continuous, like this. It should never leave the zero level, and then you want it to be. Then you want it to be 0.5 is the maximum duty ratio. So there is a constraint in the duty ratio. Somewhere it is getting affecting. Somewhere it is affecting. This is Vg. Somewhere it is affecting the one thing or other. Either you require a Zener, or you require a tertiary winding, or you require you need to have a limited duty ratio. But that may not be such a big problem because we have trans ratio to adjust the output voltage. It is not a truly a limitation because we have N1 and N2 to play with and to adjust the output voltage, right? So this is called two switch forward converter.
So why do we have a restriction on duty ratio?
The
Like 0.5?
restriction on the duty ratio is here, right? The volt second balance of this has to happen, right? Suppose you do a duty ratio of 0.6, what happens? Vg into 0.6 volt second balance of LP minus off time. What is the voltage? You see, minus Vg, because the diodes are conducting and the terminal voltage is coming here. You see the plus terminal. When the diode is conducting, this plus terminal is coming here and minus terminal is coming here when the diodes are conducting. So that means minus Vg. So these two levels you cannot change. You have no way of adjusting it. But let us say you have used 0.4, 0.6 into this, so into 0.4. So is it 0? No, it is equal to 0.2 Vg. So what does it mean? The current, magnetizing current initially was going by Vg slope, let us say initially 0. So it has gone 0.6 like this. Then its slope is unchanged because the off-time slope is also Vg. So what will happen? But the time is less. So it doesn't get the time to come back. It has time only up to this much, and the slope is same and negative. Numerically same and negative. So it comes down. It is 0.6. It just comes down. Next cycle, it will build up again and build up again. It will never reach. It will continue to go like that, and it will, magnetizing current will eventually cross the limit, and it will saturate them. So extreme case. Why is the extreme case? Because two labels are same. This slope is decided by Vg by Lp. This also is decided by minus Vg by Lp. Since they are same, the labels are same, we cannot afford to go beyond 0.5, because at 0.5 they are just at the 0.5 what is happening? 0.5 is like this, and then it come down to 0 like this. That is when the 0.5 will happen. So we cannot go beyond 0.5. Less than 0.5, it will go to discontinuous mode of the magnetizing current. You need to see volt-second balance happening on any magnetic coil. That is what you are supposed to see, and that is what is meaning flux how is increasing and decreasing. When positive voltage is there, flux is increasing, and when negative voltage is there, flux is decreasing. So it must come back to the same initial point. Otherwise, things in subsequent cycles, it will continue to build up, and eventually it will saturate. So all these issues are happening here, and it is shown this, right? So so far all the time we have seen that the flux wise this is not optimum, because flux levels are, initial flux levels are 0. We have argued in other classes that flux level, if it is negative, we get a better utilization of the magnetic circuit, right? So that one we'll try to see how that can be achieved in the next version of the Bach-derived topologies. So let's take a version of the
Sir,
yeah.
why have you written D max equal to 0.5? Should it not be D is equal to 0.5 to balance the volt-second equation of transformer?
Again, you are not getting the point. I should have written here max, but this is the general volt-second balance has to happen. Vg into D minus Vg into D2 is equal to 0. So that is the general. D2 is the time it is. That is, if D is less, D2 is less. You see, D is equal to D2. This condition means D is equal to D2, which means that D, if it is D is equal to 0.2, D2 is equal to 0.2. So it is happening volt-second balance. So how is it happening? It is happening 2.2, 0.2, then 0. Remaining time is 0. So extreme case where it can happen. How this thing? So D2 can be equal to D. D2 has to be always equal to D. So therefore, the maximum value of D2 is 1 minus D. If I give you a constant that D is equal to D2 for volt-second balance, truly speaking, then the maximum value of D2 is equal to 1 minus D. It cannot be beyond that. It cannot be, maximum value of D2 will be, D2 will be 1 minus D. Sorry, again I am wrong. Maximum value of D2 will be, or D will be 0.5. Because with this constant D is equal to D2, the maximum value you can go up to is of D is 0.5. You cannot go beyond that, right? And that time D and D2 is this. Actually, I should not have written this equation. You ignore. The volt-second balance is happening according to this. This is clarified. More clear is this: VGD minus VGD2. So which means D is equal to D2. So what is the maximum value of this in this condition? Maximum value is D is equal to 0.5. D max is equal to 0.5. Right. What I'm saying is that at the extreme case, it just touches, it takes full time to cover it, and d is equal to 0.5. Yes, that is also correct. Okay, now let's take a new thing where we'd like to have converters which will work with positive and negative flux levels. So let's draw the topology. This is called half bridge topology. Half bridge topology means half this is called half bridge topology. It has two switches. Half bridge always means this, creating a middle point by capacitor division. That is what is meaning of the half. I'm sorry, I have drawn wrongly. Don't draw it. I'm sorry, extremely sorry. Half bridge is this. Half bridge is this. Half bridge you are creating, and the points that you are tapping points is A and B. That is one leg. Two switches form one leg. Another one is by splitting the capacitor, splitting the voltage, that is Vg, by two capacitors. I assuming that this is capacitors are all equal, so this is dividing itself into Vg by 2, Vg by 2. You are creating a center point by capacitor split. That is what is half bridge topology. Whenever there is a half bridge topology, you will first draw one leg, one top device, one bottom device. We call it top device, top and bottom device. By look at itself, you know that this and this are complementary. They cannot be shorted because they are directly connected across Vg. You can never turn on together. Q and Q bar. You are switching signals are this way, Q and Q bar, and you are creating 2 points, the junction point here, and another midpoint from the capacitor midpoint, right? And you are putting a transformer across these 2 midpoints. This is to make sure that you are getting positive and negative voltage. Otherwise, without this capacitor, you are not able to give positive and negative voltage, right? You cannot connect this other end to the ground, because if you connect other end to the ground, what you are getting, when Q is on, this point potential is Vg. When Q bar is on, point potential is potential of A is 0 with respect to this reference. This point potential is either Vg or 0. This is the reference. And what about the potential of this point? Since it is middle point, this potential with respect to the reference is Vg by 2 all the time Vg by 2. This point potential is as if stable point. Okay, you are not given a Vg by 2 from the supply, but you created a Vg by 2 from the supply, and you created it by the capacitor division. You could have done by resistance division, but resistance division is lossy, so we avoid it. So we choose a capacitor with 2 capacitors C and C, C1 and C2 here, which are equal in values. And in all other characteristics, exactly identical capacitors, and we therefore create a split in the Vg voltage. We create an intermediate voltage plus Vg by 2 at B point, and A point is switching voltage. A point goes when Q is on. Let us say this way: when Q is on, A point voltage will go to plus Vg. Q is on, and here Q bar is on. Then it will go to 0. So that is the voltage potential of VA with respect to the reference VAR. This is R. This point potential is R. So it is VAR is this. and and the other point is this Vg by 2, that is Vb, that is Vb. The other thing is this, that Vb. So you see that what is VAB then? What is VAB then? VAB is then this minus this, right? This minus this. So you can clearly see one thing. VAB will be this minus this. So what will be happening? This on time VAB is positive and off time this is negative. On time the voltage is how much? Plus Vg by 2. This is VAB, right? And off time it will be minus Vg by 2. So what it is imposing again, in order to have a volt per second balance, what is it imposing? It is imposing that, it is imposing the condition that you apply 50% of the time Vg by 2 and 50% of the time minus Vg by 2. Then volt second balance will be happening. Okay, you are why you are doing plus 51? Logically, since this point voltage is not flexible, it is just minus Vg by 2, right? Sorry, you may even argue that I can operate the way, exactly the way I said, that duty ratio, with a duty ratio which is less than 0.5. Logically that is possible. Then your magnetizing current will be continuous for some time and discontinuous for some time, and continuous for some time and then come down to 0. So that is possible. So you may have say that then when it is coming, magnetizing current is discontinuous, it will come down to 0, and this voltage is no more, voltage across the transformer is no more minus Vg by 2, it will be 0. So for discontinuous conduction mode. So but you cannot apply minus Vg by 2. If it is D, it will be equal, it is D, it will also be equal to D, this portion, this will also be equal to D, and this portion is 1 minus D, this portion, and we see that D is less than 0.5. So the maximum case is D is equal to less than equal to 0.5. So D max will be 0.5. So that is what is done in this operation. They choose D max without, because they don't want any confusion regarding discontinuous, continuous conduction. That is a botheration that they don't want. So what they do is D is equal to 0.5. So all the converters, all this type of converters, maximum duty ratio is 0.5. Maximum duty ratio is 0.5. But to understand that, if the duty ratio is 0.5, it is then losing the control over the thing. So in order, if you want to have a control of over the output voltage, then what you need is that D must be different from D must be different from 0.5, because if it is a 0.5, then the output voltage is always dictated by just voltage. It has no control. You do not have any control. If suppose that is a 0.5, so what is a 0.5 means? What is this happening is, this is the primary switch. I'm just doing the equivalent circuit with a just a quickly drawing. For drawing quickly, I am doing, this is the on, this is the on. Secondary side is this one, and this is a half-wave rectifier diode combination. They will also work as a freewheeling thing. This is L, C, and R. So what happens is that if this is a positive voltage you have applied, then the voltage here is plus minus. This voltage is also plus minus. So this diode is reverse biased, this diode is forward biased, and there is a current through this diode, and this is going to the inductor. So there is a current through this. So this number of turns is, let us say, N1, and the number of turns in the secondary is N2 and N2. It is split. It is a center tap transformer. The transformer is center tap. These are the two rectifier cum freewheeling diodes. We will show that they have dual purpose. They will be rectifying and freewheeling, right? I will show you that. Just now I will show you that. But let us first see what is happening here. So this is the current, and now D1 is conducting, right? Then you turn it off. What will happen? What will happen is you turn it off. You just turn it off, right? Just one issue I wanted to tell you, that you turn it off, and then what happens is this. I'm complicating. Hello? Yes.
Sir, have you closed both switches? Then will voltage source be not salted?
I am doing. No, voltage source is not shorted, but I have not drawn it correctly. This is other end is VG by 2. So let me. Thanks for pointing that out. It is not that. I am drawing in between the switch. The equivalent circuit is this. And you are right, I am not shorting it. Why I am saying shorting? I am sorry. Yeah. I have, let us say I have shorted the first switch and bottom switch is open. This is the point. Sorry. Extremely bad mistake. This is plus minus. This is VG. This you have shorted. This is VG by 2. This is VG by 2. So the voltage across it is VG by 2, and this is coupled. So the secondary side voltage is VG by 2 into N2 by 2, N2 but not N2 by 2, N2, and because every split part I am writing is at N2. So N2 by N1. Every part, every small part, this is a center tap transformer. So this is the on state thing. This is when Q is on, and Q and Q bar are in a sense complementary. But I will tell you that this is on for DTS.
Sir?
Yeah.
So some of us have a test after this class.
Okay, I'll stop here.